So, you want to learn a new skill, maybe master a new language, or, fundamentally change who you are. Well, there's a biological code for that, a set of rules you have to follow. This isn't just self-help talk. This is the user manual for your brain, a science-backed protocol to let you take direct control of your own wiring. But first, we have to start by tearing down a huge myth. You've probably heard it a million times. Every experience changes your brain. You've been told that just by watching this, your brain is rewiring itself. Well, according to the actual science, that's a lie. You see, if you're an adult and the science puts the number right around age 25, your brain has slammed the door on learning passively. The rules of the game have totally changed. Your brain isn't a sponge anymore. It's not designed for easy change. It's actually designed for stability. And that means if you want to learn, you need a very, very specific trigger. So what the heck happened? Why does it feel like you have to work 10 times harder to learn something new than you did when you were a kid? Well, the answer is all about the fundamental shift that happens between the child brain and the adult brain. And this contrast right here, it's everything. As a kid, your brain was a total sponge, just soaking up information by existing. But the adult brain, it's more like a fortress. It's built for stability. To keep important stuff like your breathing and your heartbeat totally reliable. So to change it, you can't just walk in the front door. You have to unlock a gate. This whole fortress mechanism, it actually has a name. It's called gated plasticity. And all it means is that change is no longer automatic. It's a special, privileged state that your brain only enters when a very specific set of chemical conditions are met. So if we want to learn, well, we need the keys to that gate. And that brings us to the protocol itself. The good news is scientists have figured out the precise neurochemical cocktail that forces the gates of plasticity wide open, and it works at any age. We know exactly what those keys are. There are 3 keys, that's it. First, you need alertness, that's the trigger. Second, you need intense focus, which is like a spotlight. And third, you need consolidation. Think of it as the save button. If you get these 3 things right, and in the right order, your brain really has no choice but to change. All right, key number 1 is epinephrine, which you probably know better as adrenaline. This is what puts you in a state of high alert. It's basically a biological signal that screams to your entire nervous system, hey, pay attention, this is important, something is happening right now. Next up is acetylcholine. Now, if adrenaline is the general fire alarm for the whole building, acetylcholine is the laser-guided spotlight. It literally highlights the specific neurons that are involved in what you're doing. It's like taking a chemical highlighter and marking the exact circuits you want to rewire, telling your brain, don't worry about everything else, just this. And finally, the third key, and honestly the one most people completely ignore, rest. Yeah, this is the crucial twist. The brain doesn't actually change while you're grinding away. All that hard work just marks the circuits for change. The real physical rewiring, the part that makes it permanent, that only happens when you stop, during deep rest and sleep. Okay, so that's the science. Pretty cool, right? But how do we actually use it? How do we generate this perfect chemical state whenever we want? Let's get into the actionable framework and see how this all builds into a 90-minute protocol you can literally use today. Step 1 is to generate that alertness, to get the epinephrine flowing. Now, the easiest way, of course, is a cup of coffee, but you can also use what I'd call psychological urgency. Your brain really doesn't care why you're alert. Committing to a goal because you love someone or creating really high stakes, like having to donate to a political party you hate if you fail, it generates the exact same chemical response. Okay, on to step 2, focus. To release that spotlight chemical acetylcholine, we're going to use a seriously powerful biological hack. It all starts with this one principle. Your mental focus is directly tied to your visual focus. So here's the technique. Before you start your work, just pick a single small point on your screen or on the wall in front of you, and you're just going to stare at it for 1 to 2 minutes. This simple act of narrowing your visual field, basically creating a soda straw view of the world, physically triggers the release of acetylcholine in your brain. It primes you for intense focus. So once those chemicals are flowing, you're ready to start the learning session. Now, it turns out our brains operate in these natural cycles of peak focus that last for about 90 minutes. This is your golden window of opportunity. So set a timer for 90 minutes and commit to just one thing. Now, a super important heads up here. The first 5 to 10 minutes of this are probably going to feel terrible. You'll feel agitated, you'll be distracted, you're going to want to quit. This is completely normal. In fact, that feeling of friction and agitation, That is the epinephrine and acetylcholine working. It's the sign that you are doing it right. You have to push through it. Your only job during this 90-minute block is to manage your attention. That's it. When your mind drifts off, and trust me it will, you have to manually drag it back. The trick is to use your eyes. Physically refocus your gaze on your work. Every single time you pull your attention back, you are reapplying that acetylcholine spotlight, strengthening the signal to change those specific neurons. Okay, the timer goes off. You did it. You're exhausted, but you feel accomplished. And this right here, this is the exact moment where almost everyone fails, undoing all of their hard work in just a few seconds. Because you have to understand this deep down. The learning has not happened yet. You haven't rewired a single thing in your brain. All you've done is put a big, bright chemical flag on the neurons you want to change. The most important step is what comes next. The final step is a 20-minute period of something scientists call non-sleep deep rest, or NSDR for short. A study in the journal Cell Reports found that doing this right after a learning session dramatically speeds up plasticity. This is your brain's save cycle. So here's the rule, and it's non-negotiable. For 20 minutes after your 90-minute session, you do nothing. I mean it. No phone, no emails, no new podcasts. Just sit quietly, maybe take a light walk, and just let your mind wander. If you immediately check your phone for new information, you risk overwriting the very changes you just worked so incredibly hard to create. So let's just put it all together one last time. You create alertness to release epinephrine. You use that soda straw visual focus to release acetylcholine. You dive into a 90-minute learning session to mark the circuits, and then you finish with 20 minutes of deep rest to actually consolidate the learning. That is the 4-step protocol. You know, this whole process, it isn't some magical gift that you're either born with or you're not. It's just a set of biological mechanics. It's a skill. It's a system that you can use whenever you choose to, giving you direct and deliberate control over the structure of your own brain. This knowledge literally gives you the keys to the fortress. It gives you the ability to learn and change on demand no matter how old you are. So the only question left is, what will you build? What will you unlock?